We are in the midst of the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. Though we've been spared any major weather system, heavy rains in recent weeks has caused $54 million in damage to road infrastructure. You can play your part in limiting the effects of weather systems on the island. You may do so by not disposing your garbage in gullies and drains, not attempting to cross waterlogged roads, ensuring your children don't play in standing water after heavy rains, and checking around your homes for mosquito breeding sites and destroying them. Let's all play our part to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
Hurricanes can strike at any time. In the event of one, be prepared to act quickly. If a hurricane watch or warning has been issued, review your home disaster response plan. Map out likely routes to evacuate if your home is at risk and confirm with relatives or friends you plan to stay with. Also, confirm the location of the nearest shelter. Check your emergency supplies and restock if necessary. Remember, disasters do happen, so be prepared.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, September 7. The Most Honourable Andrew Holness was today sworn in as Jamaica's Prime Minister for the second consecutive term. Governor-General Sir Patrick Allen presented Mr. Holness with the instrument of office in the swearing-in ceremony at King's House this afternoon. It's his third time assuming the position after serving from October 2011 to January 5, 2012, and again from March 3, 2016 to present. With the Prime Minister's reappointment today, all cabinet or ministerial posts became vacant. Mr. Holness has begun the process of establishing his new cabinet with this afternoon's appointment of a number of critical ministerial positions, including finance and health. Meanwhile, new measures to stem the spread of COVID-19 in the country is top priority for the new Andrew Holness-led administration. This comes as the Ministry of Health on Friday declared that Jamaica was officially experiencing community transmission of the novel coronavirus. The designation was based on the assessment of the technical team in the ministry and after consultation with the technical team at the Pan American Health Organization and World Health Organization. Community transmission means the inability to relate a large number of confirmed cases through chains of transmission and the increasing positive tests through sentinel samples, especially from persons going to health centers and hospitals.
We have 783 communities island-wide, and we have active cases in 311 of these communities, which is now just about 40% of communities are affected.
The health officials say this change in the phase of the pandemic means that over the next 6 to 8 weeks, the population may see a steep rise in the number of cases reported. As a result, this stage of the pandemic will require strengthening of the infection prevention and control measures to reduce the rate of spread within the population. In light of that, new restrictions are to be implemented, including tighter curfew hours, an increase in the stay-at-home orders for the elderly, re-emphasis on the work-from-home orders for the private and public sectors, and further tightening on restrictions of public gatherings. The Electoral Office of Jamaica, EOJ, is again advising employers that their employees who served as Election Day workers do not need to self-quarantine before resuming duties. The EOJ says it has received reports of employers seeking to mandate this for their staff. But the electoral body says this is not necessary, as measures in line with WHO and PAHO standards were put in place to mitigate the risk of possible infection among electors and poll workers. EOJ says further checks with the Ministry of Health and the public health authorities confirmed that self-quarantine is not a requirement for Election Day workers. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security had previously clarified that there was no such requirement under the labor laws or any other law. In a statement, the ministry urged employers to be guided by the Holidays with Pay Act and Gazette notices that are published under the Disaster Risk Management Act. In other news, the island's major strawberry farmers are to benefit from an allocation of $5 million to assist them in the growth and development of the crop for the 2020-2021 season. The allocation will be made under the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries Production Incentive Program. The announcement was made by consultant agronomist in charge of protected agriculture at the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, Webster McPherson. He says $3 million will go towards providing crop nutrition, while the other $2 million is for pest and disease management assistance to the farmers. Strawberries, which require cooler temperatures, are found in areas of Jamaica that are in excess of 2,000 feet above sea level. These include Guys Hill in St. Catherine, Adams Valley in Manchester, Gordontown and Newcastle in St. Andrew, and sections of Trelawney and St. Mary. A total of 50,000 pounds of strawberries are being produced yearly, representing 10% of local consumption. Mr. McPherson says there is tremendous potential for import substitution, as local strawberries are now being embraced by purchasers because it tastes better and has a longer shelf life. The consultant agronomist says a revolving project was started last planting season where 23,500 plantlets valued at $3.5 million were given to farmers who are expected to return twice the amount of plantlets. And finally, the Cannabis Licensing Authority, CLA, says it is at an advanced stage of finalizing a policy for a cultivator's transitional special permit. Acting Senior Legal Officer at the CLA, Sheldon Reed, says the authority is aiming to make the special permit at least 50% lower than the cost of obtaining a Tier 1 cultivator's license, which is $1,000. The special permit will help small farmers or subsistence farmers who find it challenging to enter the industry at the licensed stage.
We want to give you this permit for you to cultivate your cannabis where you are with some basic, amendments to what you have. And for 2 years, whatever you sell in our industry, because you're selling it back to us in our closed loop system, for the 2 years, we want you to use that time to develop your facility to the standard that is needed at the licensing regime. So after the 2 years, you can apply for a license.
Since June this year, the authority has engaged more than 300 persons across the island in consultation sessions with special interest groups to further inform the policy.
To see if we can ascertain how it is that we can better incorporate the broader cross-section of the country, and more specifically of this cannabis industry, into this medical cannabis industry. We understand that a certain aspect of the grassroots do find challenges entering the industry, and a lot of those challenges are linked to finances, among other things. And so what we've done in contemplating this transitional permit is to meet the grassroots, meet the traditional grower, meet anybody who's never even grown before but is now interested where they are.
The CLA's acting senior legal officer was speaking at a recent JIS think tank. He said the basic requirements to access the special permit when it is completed, including having access to legitimate land with at least 5 feet of fencing. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
To properly carry out a hand rub, apply a palmful of the product in your cupped hand, covering all surfaces. Rub your hands palm to palm. Rub your right palm over the back of your left hand with interlaced fingers and vice versa. Rub your hands palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Rub the back of your fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked. Rotationally rub backwards and forwards the clasped fingers of your right hand in your left palm and vice versa. Once your hands are dry, they are now safe.
The government of Jamaica is serious about the environment. This has led to the island ratifying the Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol. This 2016 agreement came into effect in 2019 and seeks to gradually reduce the consumption and production of hydrofluorocarbons. HFCs are greenhouse gases which are commonly used in refrigeration, air conditioning, building insulation, fire extinguishing systems, and aerosols. Find out more about this agreement next. The impact of climate change is far-reaching. The summers are getting warmer and the winter months are becoming increasingly colder. It is with this in mind that the government of Jamaica is playing its part to manage the impacts of climate change. Through a collaboration with the United Nations Development Programme, preparatory activities are underway to enable Jamaica to ratify and implement the 2016 Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer. The Montreal Protocol fulfilled the objectives of the Vienna Convention for the protection of the ozone layer. It is a global environmental agreement originally signed in 1987 by countries across the world and ratified by Jamaica in 1993. This agreement seeks to phase out the use and production of ozone-depleting materials, such as chlorofluorocarbons, more commonly known as CFCs. CFCs were invented in the 1930s for use in the refrigeration sector and as propellants for aerosols. Increased consumption of refrigerants in motor vehicles, refrigerators and air conditioning units, as well as foam insulation, resulted in damage to the ozone layer, which is the protective shield that protects the Earth from the harmful rays of the sun. Damage to the ozone layer can cause devastating harm to human life, health, and the environment. As time progressed, newer refrigerants such as hydrochlorofluorocarbons, more commonly known as HCFCs, were introduced as alternatives to CFCs. These substances were seen as less likely to damage the ozone layer. With the advent of the technological era, studies showed that HCFC is a powerful greenhouse gas that contributes to the depletion of the ozone layer. Even later still, it was determined that while HFCs were not considered to be ozone depleting, they too were powerful greenhouse gases that contributed to global warming, which intensifies climate change. With this new information, countries sought the best alternatives to ensure the protection of the ozone layer, being mindful of the effects of climate change. By 2007, countries around the world agreed to advance the phase-out of HCFCs by the year 2040. As work continued for a cleaner, healthier environment, the Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol added HFCs to the list of controlled substances to be phased down. The amendment was agreed on in 2016 and became effective in January 2019. This amendment is seen as a significant tool in the fight against climate change. As of November 2019, 81 countries have ratified the amendment and have agreed to control the production and use of HFCs by phasing down its usage by 80% by the year 2045. Under this amendment, the use of modern, more environmentally friendly refrigerants like carbon dioxide, propane and ammonia are now being encouraged and will later be enforced. As part of its commitment to protecting the ozone layer and the environment, Jamaica is currently implementing the first stage of the HCFC Phase-Out Management Plan project. This project is being implemented by the UNDP through a partnership with the National Environment and Planning Agency NEPA with funding from the Montreal Protocol. Of the main achievements of the project, the three main results achieved so far includes the introduction of the 2014 Trade Order, which now restricts the importation of HCFCs based on a licensing and quota system, phasing out of the use of HCFCs in the foam sector and a significant reduction in the use of HCFCs in the refrigeration and air conditioning sector, as well as strengthening the capacity of refrigeration and air conditioning technicians in best practices through capacity building sessions, as well as the provision of personal protective equipment kits. In order for the Kigali Amendment to take effect in Jamaica, it has to be ratified. Before this can happen, laws have to be reviewed and amended as necessary. Additionally, a licensing and quota system for the importation and consumption of HFCs, similar to that of HCFCs, has to be created. 4 steps are required in the ratification process. Currently, Jamaica is at step 1, and consultations are now being held to prepare a cabinet submission. Once approved, the country can move to the preparation and enactment of laws. This is followed by the preparation of another cabinet submission for ratification, and finally, depositing the instrument with the United Nations, after which Jamaica becomes bound by the treaty within 90 days. You may be wondering how this affects you. For persons in the refrigeration and air conditioning sector, get ready to make the unavoidable switch to more environmentally friendly refrigerants and reduce the use of substances that contain HCFCs and HFCs. This will lead to a safer and healthier environment for all. The general public and consumers also stand to benefit from cost savings. Newer appliances and vehicles coming into the country, some of which are already here, will be equipped to use these modern, more environmentally friendly refrigerants. The time is now to make the switch to protect the environment. So join us in helping to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Jamaica, on the road to ratification of the Kigali Amendment.
Practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently using soap and water. Here's how you should do it while conserving water. Turn on the tap to wet your hands, then turn off the pipe. Lather your hands and the tap with soap. Turn on the tap and wash your hands, back, front, and in between fingers. Use some of the water to wash off the tap, then turn it off. Dry your hands with disposable hand towels. If you don't have running water, use a hand rub containing 62% or more alcohol. If hand sanitizers are not available, rubbing alcohol, Dettol, white rum, or household bleach will do the trick. And if all else fails, let hand washing and the handling of potable water be a two-person event. Each person will take turns pouring and washing hands with sitting water. Now is a good time to consider installing a tap on your containers to reduce the risk of water contamination. Faucets can be easily attached to drums, buckets, or 5-gallon water bottles. And to ensure that the outside of the containers are clean when recapping, disinfect it with hand rub containing alcohol that's 62% or more. The 5 R's of water conservation are also necessary to practice. Reduce water wastage by investing in water-saving devices. Reuse water at least twice before discarding. Replace leaking pipes, faucets, and other plumbing equipment. Recycle wastewater and use it for gardening, car washing, or cleaning of public spaces. And reclaim water through rainwater harvesting. We all must play our part to ensure there's water to combat the coronavirus and stave off prolonged drought.
Did your loved one die recently and not leave a will? Find out how the Administrator General's Department can assist.
Anna, why you knocking down my door? What is it?
Jackie, I don't know what to do. From Jason dead, I have nothing to give to the children and I don't know where to turn.
So why you didn't go down to the Administrator General's department, the place I told you about the other day?
Lord Jackie, me know you try to help me, you know, but remember say me and Jason never did marry, you know.
What do you mean by that, Anna? The law say, if a single man and a single woman live together as husband and wife for 5 years and more immediately before death, then he or she is considered a spouse.
Really? That mean me can't get something then? Cause boy, it rough, you know.
Yes, man, just go down there, tell them about the case, that Jason died leaving no will, house and children under 18 years. Go down there and see what them can do for you.
A true you talking, Jackie. Where is the place there again?
Down a waterfront, man. 12 Ocean Boulevard. Go down there, talk to them, and see if them can help you.
Okay, I'm going down there right now.
Good morning, madam. How are you?
Good morning, miss. I hear that the Administrator General's department can help me. You see, my children, them father died, leaving me with the 2 pitney them, and I'm me alone I care for them.
Did he leave a will?
Will, ma'am. After Jason never ready for dead, how come him come from work and drop down dead? My friend tell me say under the law I'm considered a spouse. By the way, who is a spouse?
Under the Interstate Estates and Property Charges Act, a spouse is a single man and woman living together as husband and wife for 5 years or more. By living together, the two persons should not have been separated at any time during the 5 years immediately before death. A surviving spouse includes a person who's legally married. That is, he or she went in front of a pastor and took the vow of marriage. If Anna meets the requirements, she can hire an attorney at law or go to the legal aid clinic to apply for an order from the court declaring that she's a spouse. Some of the questions the court will look at are: did Anna and Jason break up during the 5 years? Did Jason have any children born in the same year as Anna's children? The court will also want to know if Anna or Jason were married before and not divorced. Once the order has been granted, the spouse would be entitled to benefit from the estate of the deceased. For further information, you can visit the Administrator General's Department in Kingston, 3rd floor at the Office Center Building, 12 Ocean Boulevard, or call us at 922-183023. You can also visit our Western office at the 2nd floor of the National Housing Trust Building at 42B Union Street, Montego Bay, St. James. Telephone 630-4261. Our website is at www.agd.gov.jm. That's the Administrator General's Department, securing your legacy.
I really hope that those who are listening to my voice will take an introspection of themselves and check out how they have been operating the motorcycle. Are you operating with a helmet, an elbow pad, a knee pad, a jacket, a shoulder pad? Are you wearing shoes instead of slippers? Have you removed the mirrors from the motorcycles? Obedience better than sacrifice. Do the right thing. Are you going to ensure that you buckle up in the motor vehicle and the persons in the motor vehicle behind your back, your passengers, are they buckled up? Are you going to ensure that? Are you going to give yourself adequate time to reach your destination so that you don't have to be in any ears, so that you don't help to clog up the health sector? Nobody should be going to the hospitals because of traffic crashes. Nobody. They are preventable, they are avoidable. We can make better choice than that.
Curfews and quarantine are now a part of life in Jamaica as government implements plans to curtail the spread of COVID-19. As we adjust to increased traffic at particular times, we don't want you to forget these simple road courtesies.
Pedestrians, it is only safe to cross this designated part of the road if you follow the road rules. Never attempt to cross before the indication is given, and do not try to beat the oncoming traffic which has the green light.
You have overhead bridges, and overhead bridges are safe areas that are provided for pedestrians to cross. What we are seeing are pedestrians dashing across dual carriageways and then leaping over concrete medians. That is a no-no. We have had persons who have lost their lives doing that. And I am now appealing to pedestrians to do the right thing and access the overhead bridges that are provided in order to save your own life.
Where there is no overhead bridge or crossing sign, use the pedestrian crossing with caution. Monitor the lights and cross when it's safe to do so. That is a dangerous practice and a 99.9% chance of this happening.
The amount of kinetic energy that comes on your body, that is going to determine whether or not you survive.
There are several signs. Road signs are the language of the road. You have informational signs, directional signs, warning signs, and you have enforcement signs. Enforcement signs are erected upright or those that are drawn on the road surface. For example, you have stop sign, one-way sign, and it points in the direction where the one-way is. No U-turn, no parking, no right turn, no entry, a number of signs. If there is no sign that are erected upright, you will see yellow markings painted on curb walls. That constitute no parking, and you should not park in those areas. You park where white painting is drawn on those curb walls. Those are areas where parking is permitted. You have continuous white lines that are drawn on road surface. No motorist should drive to the right of a continuous white line. There are some other signs, especially like along Knutsford Boulevard, where the dual carriageway is, but there is any elevated median. You see something looking like a zebra crossing. Those crossing depicts a median, but a median that is not elevated. If you disobey a stop sign, it carries a fine of $4,000 or 6 demerit points. If you disobey the traffic light, the red light, that too carries $4,000 a fine or 6 demerit points. On the approach of a traffic light, for example, Halfway Tree Road, Chelsea Avenue, by GIS there is no filter light. You are to obey the light, and whenever you get green, you are to proceed. These lights are so configured that they allow for a pedestrian to cross. So when that red light is on, pedestrians are crossing. So that's why a filter light is not put in. When approaching a roundabout, you are to yield to the person to the right. Right? Always allow for that person to go first. A similar thing with a yield sign, a give-way sign. You are to yield to the person and allow that person to proceed. If you happen to overtake, you are to do so if the way is clear, and once you complete that maneuver, you are to get back to the left lane and remain there. We have persons anticipating the light. You have those that are anticipating the green, and even before the green comes on, they are off. And you have others who are beating the amber in order to go by as well. And I should tell you this, red means you are to stop, amber means you are to prepare to stop, and green means you are to go if the way is clear.
And remember, always wear your seatbelt.
And that's where we leave you on today's Jamaica Magazine program. Be sure to join us again tomorrow right here on this station for another informative show. We'd love to hear from you, so email us at jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. Keep up with us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You may also download our mobile app from your smartphone's app store. On behalf of the entire team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.